Hello everybody, November 14th, 2022. Take a look at what I said on Friday. Current status of Bitcoin is that we just had three waves up off the low, followed by three waves down. Lack of follow through, and we're in for more chop. And basically that's what we've seen. The best case for the bulls is a diagonal that remains true, just slightly modified from what I put before. And best case for the bears is to push it below 15.9. They did do that briefly, but they didn't sustain below 15.9, so we are seeing a bounce again. So let's jump right in here and take a look at what's going on. All right, so the low that we struck all the way back here could have been it. Like that could have been the bottom. It broke 15.7, which was my macro line in the sand, but it didn't sustain below it. And we had the opportunity to show, potentially 5 waves up off the low, but that failed. So that is just 3 waves up. And then my update on Friday, that was the 3 waves down that we had. Now you can see we continued downwards and very briefly broke that 15.9 level right there. So basically this turned into a larger A, B, and C, and now we're getting a little bounce from there. So what does that mean? Well, this honestly, because it broke 15.9, is unreliable for a second wave. That makes that bull possibility of a diagonal even less likely. Potentially not even possible at all, because it really shouldn't have broken that 886 fib at 15,875. So I'm going to leave it on there just as a very slim possibility, but I really do not think that's going to happen. I wouldn't count on it. So I'm looking for something more like this, WXY up, like that, or you can count it as ABC, WXY, whatever. Okay, something like this basically. And the area that we would expect for that to go is, draw a fib extension here, generally anywhere in this region right here is our initial danger zone there for a rejection. So that's large danger zone right there. And then if we go down to the hourly chart, or the 5-minute chart even, like we're on the hourly right now, if we go down to the 5-minute, I would not call this a reliable 5 waves up. It's certainly not impulsive in my opinion, this right here, but potentially there's 5 waves in there, sufficient enough to be an A wave anyway, within that Y that I'm talking about in the larger sense. And if that's the A wave, and then we've got A, B, C down for a B wave, then we've got a new danger box right here, and you can see where those overlap. They make this slightly darker danger box there, so I'm going to view that as the main danger zone, essentially between 17.4 and 17.9, and I think that could very easily be A, B, and C, like that. That would take us right up into that danger zone, and then we would see further downside from there. And then that would end basically this larger Y. So we have essentially all just corrective action off of the low, W, X, and Y, kind of maybe revisit that high briefly, and then we can head downwards, most likely to the 12 to 14K region. So that is very much my primary scenario at this point. So I'm going to change this to yellow. Based on all of the action that we've seen, I think that's quite reasonable. And then I would just look at potentially if we get this could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not impulsive. This came down too low for it to be impulsive. But potentially that's our first wave within C. And so we can look at, if this does pull back from here to give a standard structure, then we can look at where 3, 4, and 5 go from there. And that may in fact push us up kind of the top of that, 17.9. But that will likely show us, an even more clear path that it's going to take if this does pull back here. So it doesn't have to. I mean, a lot of times A waves and C waves being corrective action are fairly unclear. It could just continue trucking up into this area. There's nothing wrong with that. Kind of do an unclear thing. This could even be 1, 2 here, in which case we'd see something 3, 4, 5. Let's just play with that real quick. Let me get rid of this fib here, put a new fib on here. If maybe that's 1 and 2, then we'd be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, target of 17.6 to 17.750. So that would make sense as well if it just wanted to continue pushing up. We would likely get into that kind of upper 17 region and find resistance there, and then fall from there. So that is mainly what I'm looking at this point in time. You can see indicators on the hourly are starting to get a little bit overbought here. PPO's inching back up into that overbought territory. And I would expect RSI to creep up into that overbought territory too, and that would be a very good place for it to come down. So a lot of things pointing to that region there between 17.4 and 17.9, and we'll see, but most likely I think maybe towards the top of that region. And then we go down. I don't see any realistic bullish start to this. I guess the only possible way you could consider anything bullish would be if this is a double bottom, which is kind of hard to deal with in Elliott wave theory. Not a great way to consider that. It's certainly not super bullish, but the only thing possible, it would be like if this is 1, 2, and then we get a real strong 3, 4, 5 through that greater danger zone, then maybe we could consider the bottom in. But I view that as highly unlikely. And if that were the case, let's pull this fib again. It would need to go to 19, let's call it 19K basically, 5 waves to 19K, and that's still the very top of that danger zone, honestly, so it'd have to extend above that. So let's say 5 waves above 19.1, and we can maybe consider the possibility of the bottom is in, but very low probability right now. So I remain in cash. I may try to take a scalp here if this pulls back a little bit. I might scalp it just into that zone with a stop below the B wave. But other than that, I'm just sitting in cash and waiting for this to resolve lower. And I'll probably try to buy some down in that 12 to 14 area, but I'm not setting limit orders. I just want to watch the price action and see if it gives me something a little bit more clear to go on. So that's where we currently sit, and we'll check back in on Friday and see where we are at that point, see if we have any further information, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, stay safe this week. Looks like chop, much chop still to come. So stop losses are good. Hopefully you're sitting in cash. Don't overtrade this area. I would highly recommend just kind of taking a break, or scalping only if you're good at scalping. All right, guys, have a good night. I'll see you on Friday.